Good evening, and thank you everyone for tuning in and joining me for another episode of The Conversation with yours truly, Roger A. Franco. It's been a minute, since I've done an episode, but we are back at it. I want to give a big shout to S.STREET Media for providing the platform for me to continue to do my show. So I'm excited to be back. Big things coming, but for tonight's episode, first let me take a couple steps back. For those of you who may not have tuned into an episode of The Conversation before, it's a podcast that I started doing about a year or so ago that I wanted to focus on topics and issues that were sort of relevant and significant to the Black and Latino communities, and really universal issues. So I've done episodes previously on mental health in the Black and Latino community, how to build generational wealth, investing, real estate. With this gentleman here who joined me previously, we did a show on healthy eating. He's a certified chef, a vegan chef. Also did shows on spirituality and relationships. So as you see, I'm trying to touch on a lot of different things.
But the main topics.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, as I mentioned, it's a show that we, want to focus on some of the real issues. And for this particular show, what I wanted to touch on, this year, 2020, has,
turmoil. Pandemic on top of pandemic.
Turmoil, pandemic, the issue with COVID. We had police brutality issues with the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless others.
Bottom line, inhumane treatment towards us as a nation and people.
Exactly. And, especially politics, we're in the midst right now of most likely having a change in the White House. Biden's going to be stepping in for Trump. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, lesser of two evils, so we definitely going to touch on that tonight. So definitely tune in every Thursday. I'm going to be doing a live episode of The Conversation, and then I'm going to be posting the archives videos on a YouTube page that I'm going to create. So definitely stay tuned for that. And you can follow me on IG, Legacy Star with 2 R's, so you can follow the movement. And, as I mentioned, this gentleman has joined me previously on other shows that I've done, most notably, as I said, the one on, healthy lifestyle, what would you call it, vegan?
Yeah, we spoke about it. Just in general, how we need to help and assist in rebuilding ourselves. We need to realign ourselves with the laws of nature. Mm-hmm. And that's like a main factor right now, because it plays a major role in helping bring about a solution to what we're dealing with right now. You understand what I'm saying?
But before we go any further, let me introduce the God right here. He goes by the name of Born True. As I mentioned, he is a certified vegan chef. He's also a member of the Nation of Gods and Earths. And, so me and him, we've had several conversations, on a deep level on different topics and different things. And so that's why I wanted to have him come join me tonight to talk about the craziness of the year 2020. So let me ask you, Born, as we sit here tonight, what are your thoughts on, this past year and the year coming to an end? I'm sure you are pretty happy to see it come to an end.
Well, good evening, everybody. How you doing? King Born True. What we dealing with was predicted. Some people might not understand what I'm saying, but what we dealing with was predicted to happen, and the issues that we're dealing with is us as a nation not knowing and understanding how to address this issue and bring about a solution to the problem.
Right.
So right now we have a lot of eradication, we have a lot of anxiety, we have just so much going on. It's bottom line to how we would pronounce it and say it internment is total chaos, mass confusion going on. So we need to unify together as a whole family. You know, it's always different views, different topics, different opinions, but we have to come together with that one understanding. This is what's going to bring about a change. You understand where I'm coming from? Regardless of politics, whatever the case may be, we have to all know how to focus on that one foundation of a solution that will bring about a different change in our everyday living existence. And this is what people don't understand how to deal with.
Now, you mentioned that, you know, a lot of this was predicted before. Talk a little bit about that.
I say that because those that have knowledge of knowing and understanding and those that actually follow, we know and understand that Congress cut bills at night, okay? So we don't know that because the reruns with the Netflix, the movies, and then you wake up in the morning, there's a new law passed, like, oh my God. They already knew what they had planned because we knew that when they went from phones to the two-way pages and they upgraded their technology. So then they said, okay, now we're going to present it to them, knowing that they're not fully aware of what we're presenting to them.
Right.
So you see that going on right now. Before all this political came into effect, everybody was running around during the shutdown talking about 5G, 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 but not knowing you saying 5G, but you're using a microwave. Just a prime example. So you have to study these people to understand these people with a point where you don't worry, you wonder. You say, damn, what is he doing tomorrow? What is he going to do again? That's what I mean by it was predicted because they're doing their job. And people run around and say every day, oh, the devil's a liar. He's not a liar. And I don't want to use that term because I don't want nobody to be offended, but these people never lied. They had their plan in effect all along. They just said, we're going to feed it as a baby. And then all of a sudden, bam. Because you know why? We as a people never thought there would be a shutdown. People never thought it would be a stoppage.
Right.
So when the stoppage came, it just hurt multi-millions. Right now we got 40 million without a job. You got over 120,000 that's without a place to live.
Right.
So right now, your thought pattern has to come into effect. This is when the thinking has to really come into effect on how am I going to do this here? How are we going to save families? How are we going to save ourselves? So we need to take care of our neighborhoods.
On that point there, thank you, sir. The man behind the scenes, mathematics is always working.
Right?
Excuse me. With some of the things you just said, what are some of the things as a community, as a family, as you say, we need to pay attention to and be aware of in order to determine the best possible way for us to move?
We need to secure our neighborhoods, okay? We need to understand who the assemblymen, assemblywomen are. You need to understand what type of budget is being put into your neighborhood. How is this budget being distributed? You know, because you're worrying about education, you're worrying about the schools. So we have to come together as a collective group. In other words, when we were young, we were being cared for no matter what we did.
Right.
So today now it's our turn. That we're older, we have to oversee these things. And you can't just do it by sitting in the house. And I say that because a lot of people sit in the house and they just social media. Come out, know your neighborhood. Take care of these elderly people. When you do things like this, your children gonna follow suit. This is how you grab a control of your neighborhood. You know, start dealing with the farmers. You know, start dealing with the people that's bringing the vegetation, that's bringing the food in. You see, we both from the Bronx. Look what happened over the summer. 170,000 pounds was shipped from Idaho. We got farms in our area that people don't see. So we have to verbally let these people understand. Like I do that. I work on the trains. I bring food out for these homeless people, you know, bring sanitizing things in that nature. So we need to come together and not be so afraid because fear breaks down your immune system. Anxiety breaks down your immune system. So now you're fearful of your brother and sister because you don't know which way to go. Instead of saying, let's bring about a solution.
Right.
Let's figure out how can we take care of the neighborhood and replenish and rebuild the neighborhood. This is what we need. There should be no separation within the neighborhood. But unfortunately, this is what's happening when you dealing with a discombobulated mind frame. When you don't know which way to go, you discombobulated, you become a puppet. You become this, you know, because you don't know.
Right.
So you have to just think, we have to take care of us, bottom line. If we don't do it, who's going to do it?
Right.
This is what people don't understand. The powers that be, that's not on their agenda.
Right.
They may verbalize it, but if you don't understand their language neither, you don't know what they're saying.
Right,
In the same token, they can tell you, but in the same token, they say, I want you to understand, but I'm not going to do that.
Right. And you mentioned something that's interesting because a lot of people have you know, a different perspective on it because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we are in the midst of an election. You know, very possibly there'll be a change in the White House. But a lot of people also have said that voting doesn't do anything. It's whoever is going to be president has already been chosen.
Of course.
So you mentioned, though, as part of what we need to do as a community, to know your local assemblymen and your politicians and whatnot. With that having been said, if we feel, or if individuals feel that, politics is already laid out and, we really have no voice, what is the benefit in doing that?
Those who've studied it, the young brothers and sisters that we know who've went to school and who've studied it, who've sat down, who've learned it, we need to allow these fresh minds to be involved. Mm-hmm. And this is what they're not doing. And you just mentioned something. You said a lot of people said voting don't do nothing because you have families that control this country. Mm-hmm. So, of course, if voting really played a major role, we have more people in the penitentiary than the whole country of Europe, 1.2 million.
Right.
Okay, in the penitentiary, they shut down the penitentiary to do TB testing. Mm-hmm. So how come you don't give them a mail-in ballot and let them vote?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Mm-hmm. That's 1.2 million voices that's not being heard every time there's an election.
Right.
So that will make a big change. Mm-hmm. Why they don't do that?
Right.
This is what I'm saying. People don't think in depth of what they're doing, mm-hmm. the things they're doing, because they don't want fresh minds. We have old people that's battling against each other, right. Yet and still you've upgraded technology. Right. You said you want to turn over the world, so we have great young minds. Let them come and bring fresh new ideas to the country. Mm-hmm. So we have to back these young brothers and sisters because they're not backing them. Mm-hmm. They just tell them go to school 12 years, 13 years old. And then when they come out of all that, you don't want to bring them into your entity because you know they're going to be better or they might shine brighter than the one you brought in as a favor. Right, you understand where I'm coming from? This is where the problem is at. So we have to back these young ones. We have to start focusing and protecting them and coming with them because we can bring them ideas as well as what they got brought to the table because they up to date with everything. So that's where we could bring about a change when you start supporting their voices. You saw the babies come out. When the babies come out, this is when we're supposed to be behind them because the baby's voice matters. Right. The babies are the best. So we have to do these things. We have to support the young ones who know what's going on, who's following and they paying attention, gravitate towards them. Build a unit, you feel me? That's like planting a seed. We see that these proper tomatoes are growing, we want the fresh seeds from that. Mm-hmm. So this is what we must do. We must keep the fresh minds lucrative, not allow them to become discouraged. Mm-hmm. Because once they see that what they done studied and what they're trying to speak about is being shunned, what happens?
Right.
They become discouraged. I don't hear one. They lost it, so we can't do that. Mm-hmm. It's our civil duty to make sure that this is being dealt with. And like I said earlier, we dealing with a pandemic on top of a pandemic. Mm-hmm. This is what people don't understand.
Because so explain that a little bit, what you mean by that.
The reason why I say that is because amongst ourselves is total chaos, mass confusions. Mm-hmm. So the powers that be see that. Mm. So when they see that, they say there's no structure and organization within them. There's no rules and regulations within them. So let them rumble and ramble. Mm-hmm. We still gonna come and be the outcome of the situation. Mm-hmm. Because they're looked upon as the peacemaker after they caused the problem. Mm. They're the ones who caused the total chaos, mass confusion. Now we neck and neck at each other. They wanna come in as a peacemaker. This is where we're going. You're not doing that. Mm-hmm. We have to do that. These people are not doing that. Even the local assemblymen. Mm-hmm. The local assembly people, they don't do that. They just get your votes. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. Reverse psychology. Bait switch. This is what they do. Mm-hmm. Once they get in the office, what they do, they get that budget, and now they go to D.C.
Right.
So now you don't come back to the neighborhood. So what purpose are you serving? Why? That's why people say they don't want to vote, because they see that. You're no longer here, so how you helping me? Mm-hmm. So this is what I mean by that. We have to bring in new, fresh ideas, meaning new faces, new bodies, new minds. We have to do that. In order for us to do that, if we back this person, they know we're serious. Mm-hmm. You can't just let somebody say, I'm going to run, or I want to do this and I want to do that, but yet and still they don't have no backing. Mm-hmm. This is when they start picking people for you.
Right.
We got a team for you. Because now they listen to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Redirect your ideas. Now they hitting you with a curriculum and proposal. Mm-hmm. This is what you're going to say when you're in front of that podium.
Right.
It's no good.
Well, another interesting topic that issue that you bring up is, you mentioned supporting our young folks, the babies and what.
You have to, because all of them is not running around wicked. All of them is not running around with no mind frame.
Well, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because now I'm sure a lot of people have seen, from my perspective, there's a big divide between the older generation and the younger generation.
Of course it is. And also with the younger too.
Right.
Because you have the smart young that we might title them as geeks or nerds.
Right.
And then you got the young ones who think they can be wild, wild west. So there's a division amongst them as well.
True. So exactly. And that speaks to so many divisive things going on within our community. So, I've personally have had conversations with young dudes that, for me, and I'm sure you feel the same, it's our duty to pass on knowledge, to impart knowledge to them, to give them wisdom.
We're supposed
but it almost appears like they don't want it.
Okay, always remember, many shall come on and few going to be chosen, unfortunately. And that means with our own.
Right.
When you're manifesting with a righteous tongue speaking on a positive note, you're going to gravitate towards the ears that want to listen, not the ears that want to hear. See, when you hear, it's going like this.
Right.
When you listen, it's restoring in your memory bank. So you're going to gravitate. It's the same thing like your child. Your child going to do what he learned in the house. When he come out or his friends come over and see that, they're going to gravitate towards it because it's something positive and beneficial.
Right.
So it's the same thing like now today. If you say it enough to them and you speak in the same way, in the same lingo, also showing it to them as you're speaking it, they're going to gravitate towards it. We have adults, unfortunately, in our age range who just saying it, but doing opposite.
Right.
These babies are too smart, man. You can't do that. When you do that, they're going to be like, really?
Right.
So I'm supposed to listen to him?
Right.
But look what he doing.
That's exactly.
You understand
what
where
I've
I'm
heard
coming
them
from?
say, yeah.
So this is where the issue coming at. Everybody a year or two ago, 3 years ago, these young kids, you do outside what you learn from home. If you're not hearing how we manifesting now in your household, you're going to hear it when you hear it in the street. So you're like, oh my God, because you never heard it before.
Right.
So this is what I mean by that. What duty is the parents playing in the household? Do you have rules and regulations? Do you have structure and organization within your home?
Right.
Because if you have that, your child won't come outside and present themselves in a proper manner because they're a representation of their parents.
Right.
This is what needs to be done. A lot of parents don't understand that. Some do and don't care. Some do and they so confused themselves, they don't know how to rewash their brains. You have to rebuild and realign yourself once again. Remember the positive that you learned when you was younger. Throw away the negative. You had that positive instilled in you. Now you start to manifest that because you're living that.
Right.
They're going to see it. You know that. A good baseball team, what people want to do, I want to get signed to them because they seen them win all these World Series. They made it to the playoffs. A good family structure, you going to lead to 5 more families, to 10 more families. This is what we have to do. Stop being a robot and just work. You have to take care of your family. Not saying you don't work. We know what the crisis going on, the economic, the finance and all that, but still speak. Speak to your children. Ask them, are you being bullied? How was school today when everything was open? It's closed now. We have a laptop. Sit down and do that with them. If you're not out working and you're working from home, it's the same as them going to school, but a different format. We have accessible ties today that's easier than when we was growing up. We had to look in the book, sticky, paper ripped up. Now you have social media was the best thing ever created because social media is the advocated group mental society of people for one common cause. So utilize that for a proper fashion.
Right.
When you utilize it for a proper fashion, it's going to take you far.
Right.
You can self-educate in a short time frame from when we was doing it back then.
Right.
And you can utilize it in your manner where it's going to help you blossom.
Well, it's funny because I hear, parents that are home with their kids now.
And they complaining.
They're complaining and they're having, they make light of it and they joke about it, but I think it's kind of serious where they can't help their child with their schoolwork.
Not stepping on nobody's toes, don't take it offensive, but most didn't go down the aisle with a cap and gown. So they felt like there was no more room for them to further educate. So they put a stoppage when they shouldn't have did that. Now, 30 years later, their children smarter than them. They don't know how to relate to that. So now they stuck. So when you're stuck, what you do? You put up a wall.
Shut down, yeah.
You can't do that. Let your child teach you. It's going to open up your wheels again. You're going to be like, oh, well, I remember, boom, boom, boom. Now you're going to start utilizing your mental in that manner that you didn't want to do. So this is what you have to do. Because my mother and father raised 8 of us under one roof, never had an issue with none of us. Camp, school, shopping, whatever. Didn't lose nobody. So you shouldn't have 2 children today and you talking about, you got to get on my nerve. How? You understand where I'm coming from? My mother used to tell us, before you walk out of my house, know how to conduct yourself because you're a representation of me. So are you speaking proper to your children? Are you speaking to them in a manner where they know and understand what their civil duty is once they walk out of that door?
Right.
You know, what they said would teach them ahead of time. If you know these things that was taught to you, they haven't changed the education system. George Washington still chopped down a cherry tree, right? They still ain't tell you that he sold a bunch of slaves for a keg of molasses. They ain't tell you that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
they haven't changed. The curriculum didn't change. So whether you didn't further yourself and did the college thing, whatever, not a problem, but there was still education out there for you to gravitate to and learn, to build yourself up, because you knew at some point you will have a family.
Right.
This is what they got to do.
Right.
It seems like a hard task, but it's not once you get the wheels turning. Because once you get the wheels turning and your child see you, they're going to take over, because they're going to be like, what? Yo, my part? They're going to start speaking proud. Their chest going to bump up.
Right.
You know, they're going to be like, okay, because I got a backing, a solid backing from the household. Then you got backing from outside.
Right.
This is what we need, man.
So I know you have a daughter, right?
14, never been vaccinated. Her school's number 30 top schools, 100 schools in Virginia. And she's been on online classes since March. And, you know.
So what at that age, so she's 14, like what do you tell her about, you know, everything that's going on, let's say with politics, with Trump and Biden now?
I teach her, I mean, I don't want to go into it deep, but I teach her. That's my civil duty to teach. Had knowledge of self since 87, so that tells you.
Right.
So I teach her all the time and let her know and understand, because my father's 85. So you know I know. My pops was for government 35 years. That was back then.
Okay.
Right. That's why I don't say nothing to too many people. My cousins, my family been in the service 20-something years ago. One of my cousins was on the front line in Iraq. I have a cousin at work in Panic. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? So I know. I'm not just saying things from reading or this, that. So I teach my daughter the same thing. And I show her to understand before you become confused. A lot of people become confused before they allow themselves to understand. And that's backwards.
Right.
You have to have an understanding of what's being dealt with in front of you, what's being dealt to you, what you're dealing with. Once you grab an understanding to that and you figure it out, then you know which way to live. You know what you're up against, what you need to do in order for you to not be a part of what's going down in a bad manner, what role you can play. So it's basically, I tell people that and they joke at it, but I say, what us in America is like Tom and Jerry. They think they're Jerry and we Tom. We're supposed to keep bumping our heads, bumping our heads, bumping our heads. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when do you open up the chambers? When do you actually start to do this?
Right.
You can't just show your children, you got to get a job, you got to work. No. There's a whole lot outside of that, because richness stems from within. You can't never teach a child from a monetary value. You have to teach them about richness from within. Your vocabulary can be rich.
Right.
Your manifestation is rich. Your conduct and character is rich. Then the ops have no other choice but to lay down. Because you're coming in that firm manner. You're not being disrespectful. You're speaking on the same level they are. You're coming from a degree of intellect, and you just letting them know and understand this is what you're not going to do. This is what we need to do.
So, I mean, before I even ask this, I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What, you know, over these past few months and actually these past few days, we've seen a lot of celebrities, you know, endorsing one of the candidates or the other. You know, I'm not going to mention nobody's
Right,
names.
don't say no names. Unfortunately, not to cut you off. Everything, like I told you, is psychological warfare is at an all-time high.
Silent weapons for quiet wars.
So, unfortunately, you're going to always have your own that don't know no better. Some people come into finances but never had managerial skills.
Right.
So they still being directed to what to do, what to say. So a lot of people came out, one endorsed at the last minute to save themselves. They wasn't really about a change. They just did that to try to let the world know I'm on point on what's going on. No, you're not. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the facade and the fraudulence can be seen by those that know better. You know, you talking about you endorsing this person. Okay, how you skip to the king and you never spoke to the pawn?
Right.
How does that work?
Right.
You endorse him, but if I say who's your local assembly, you start stuttering.
Right.
You don't even understand their language. But you just saying that because it was told you to do that. This would be a good thing for you to do right now. With the world, with everything that's going on. You don't have the music out right now.
Right.
You need to be
We were just
some
talking
way
about that.
lucrative.
Right.
Right. So you're gonna think it's jumping on the bandwagon. That's a whole different entity. We'll have another show about that topic about that because with the hip hop thing, that's a whole nother entity.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They allowed themselves to be bought, and some people don't want to manifest that, but that's what the truth is. I've been there, so I know. I already know and understand. Most of the ones that's speaking right now came through me, came through the tongue, came through us from their first project. So come on.
Right.
So you could tell by the mind frame of an individual, if you're really about a change, is going to be shown in your daily activity, especially if you're somebody that's financially situated, to at least do some initiative steps that haven't been done.
Right.
Because everybody's talking what was dictated to them the whole month of March. Do this, do that. So you started repeating, and then you know what they said? They sat back and said, look, I got them. I don't have to say nothing no more. No one since March ever came out and said, this is the solution, y'all. This is what we gonna do.
Right.
We have to save us. They already threw it out there at us. Now we gotta save us. No one hasn't done that yet.
Yeah.
You see it, social media. No one hasn't said, look, y'all, let's start boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues with our community is everybody has an opinion, but we don't come together to
allow your suggestions
a solution, to reach a solution.
Be brought to one understanding.
Right,
because it's one understanding that's going to carry you all the way. You're not going no further than gate number 12 with 7 different understandings because the person they don't want to hear that.
Right.
They want to hear one. They want to hear, okay, y'all all agree upon this. Same thing they do when they vote. They say we agree upon this. The families that control the country. So then they say, okay, boom. So this we have to do. You can't have somebody on this side of the country saying this and this side of town, this state saying that. One collective mannerism, one decision, and we're going to all have that implemented state by state, street by street. You have to do that.
Right.
Because even not to get off the topic, even with the police brutality thing, you can't expect them to come into a war zone. If you want them to defuse the issue, they're going to do it to how they see fit to them. Now you're upset. But they saying in their mind, well, damn, you couldn't do it, but you want me to do it? I'm going to do it how I see fit. This is what I mean by that. When we was growing up, they would drive by. How y'all doing? Everything all right? PAL right there, 25th Precinct. We get the barricades. My brother, rest in peace, my brother passed 30 days ago. DJ all day. Kids out there playing. Anytime your child can't come outside, there's a problem. People that live in housing, they rent, go towards them having more say-so than nature. How come we don't have the tenant patrol no more? Don't worry about a camera. What happened to the tenant patrol? When we was growing up, you couldn't just meet a girl across town and say, yo, I'm going to, yo, come with me, yo. So this how it's supposed to be. But where the diversion came in that was pushing everybody out of the shelters in different boroughs. So you're in the shelter in Brooklyn, live in Brooklyn, they put you in the Bronx.
Right.
You bring that mentality to the Bronx. This is where the chaos came in at. You understand what I'm saying? But if you know that, and this is your neighborhood, then you got to let them know this is how we live in this neighborhood. We're a community. It don't have to look like a cul-de-sac, but we're a community. Don't be in the building and you online talking about Black Lives Matter and this, that. You don't even know your neighbor.
Oh, man. Black Lives Matter, that's a whole nother
topic. Because, but you know what I'm saying? People are hiding behind the phones and laptops instead of actually coming out exercising their voices in the manner where it can actually be heard.
Right.
You feel me? You might have 50 million friends, or you might have 500 friends that's not even from your neighborhood. So this is what I'm saying by that. We need to take care of these elderly people. We need to make sure they're right. We need to make sure they're good. We need to make sure the women, our brothers, our sisters, I told the girls, I put up a post, I said, sisters, stop thinking the brother trying to rap you. When the brother see you and say, how you doing, and you're all right, respond back. Because if you don't, then you are giving the outsiders the green light to think they can disrespect you. So you need to respond to your brother so that they can see, okay, somebody's watching out for her. You understand where I'm coming from? We have to do that. So the sister, speak. How you doing, brother? I do that on the train. If I see a weirdo, I'll just point to the girl and go like that when I see an open seat. Tell her to get up and sit over there. This is our duty. If you've been working on a job 10 years, fuck that bitch, fuck that bitch, fuck that bitch. What you think Papa gonna do?
Right.
Fuck you, bitch.
Right.
And then you can't get up. Yo, don't be calling her sister that. You know what he gonna say in his mind? You've been doing it for 5 years with me. So we have to change. Change is inevitable. But thinking hurts people for some reason because they want to do more drinking than thinking.
And smoking than
right.
hoping.
Thinking requires, and you should want to do that. Because now you're getting in tune with self, which is going to make you much stronger. We have to deal with my motto: protect womanhood, promote manhood. That has to be engraved in everybody's mind frame.
So, not to sort of jump to different topics, but you also bring up another good point with something that became an issue that became very prevalent this year, feminism and protect black women. And, you know, I'm sure everybody's familiar with the situation between Megan Thee Stallion and Tory, and that could be a whole nother show that we could talk about. But
that's in the hip hop session.
That's in the hip hop session. But with the
in general,
right? But with the notion of, you know, feminism, like, to your point, you try to say something to a woman now, even if it's hello, good morning,
are you okay?
Are you okay? Yeah, get the fuck away with you. Stop, you thirsty. You know what I'm saying?
And I tell women all the time, 2 options. I don't promote violence, but you gonna be the victim or you gonna do the victimizing. Which one is it?
Right.
There's no other option today.
So,
because the floodgates have been open.
Right.
Look at the authority figures. When we was growing up, they would hold a girl and they would make sure a female cop came to search her. Now they just grab you like a man.
Right.
Why? Because crime of passion within the black community, Latino community has risen. So they're saying he's smacking her up. Why should I talk nice to her and let a female search her? He grabbing her up.
Right.
And with social media is being seen.
So speak to our young men out there.
They gotta straighten up.
How do you though deal with that? You might have the best intentions, and then as the man, you then become put off by the woman's response to you when you like, look, I'm just trying to look out for you. So now that there's a negative interaction.
Well, I won't even do that, because if you don't respond, all I can say in my mind frame is be safe, sister, make sure you're all right. I won't allow it to get me upset, because you put that effort in to let them understand. Most of them don't understand that, because what they've been through, they try to keep it stuck here, and you shouldn't do that, because you should see what's going on. If you a sister and you know that inhumane treatment is coming at you at a rapid pace, I want to say hi. Yes, brother, I'm okay. Thank you for maxing. Right. Because at any given moment, we are open pond. You got 19 million. You got people that was doing inhumane treatment to women in their country. They come here because why? 6 months, 3 months. It ain't like you sell a piece of narcotic and get 20 years.
No.
You smack up, bust a mouth open, 6 months.
Yeah, that's true.
So to them, it's like free willy.
Right.
So we have to do that. Coming from sisters, nieces, and having a daughter, you have to do, because back in the days, we didn't do that. You didn't argue with a girl, whether it's your wife or not. Be like, yo, my man, don't do that. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I mean by that. The young brothers got to understand that it's your civil duty. If you live under the roof and you have a sister, regardless if you doing it or not, you have a mother. You're not going to go and, you know, even if your father's not there, unfortunately, you're going to find somebody that's going to speak to you from a fatherly perspective. And if it's speaking right and you see that he's conducting himself proper, then gravitate towards that. Save your babies and save your women. You have to do that, because the women are the dominant factor in this world. They're right beside us, and we're kings and they're queens. In order for us to be prevalent, we have to combine together. Nefertiti, Akhenaten. We can go down the list. King didn't build a palace by himself.
Exactly.
This is what I'm saying. So the togetherness have to come. The recklessness have to stop. Because you're doing things per no reason. And when you do that, what's the outcome? Everything is done per reason in life. So you have to start thinking. These young brothers, y'all got to start thinking and saying, wait a minute, this ain't me. This is not where I come from. You know, and some of them are like that because their mother gave up. You know, the mother give up, you know, she just focused on the job. You want them sneakers, you want that phone, but you're not seeing what you're doing. You can't tell him, or he's telling you rather, you telling him rather, turn that down, I don't want that. But now when you go into a party, you playing the same thing. And then we say, Mom, I'm trying to study. It's my mom gonna holler, I'll be around. So which way do it go? You understand where I'm coming from? Which way do it go?
Right.
Just like I said, when it was shut down in March, what did the ops do? Promoted DoorDash. They never said, bring back a family structure. Start cooking for your children. You're home for 60 days. Start talking to
even now, when I was coming here tonight, the line that's outside of Wendy's and McDonald's and like, And I said the same thing to myself, honestly, like, damn, aren't y'all going home to cook? Like,
They never showed you the warehouse of DoorDash. They never said this the cook here. He's been tested. He's cooking, preparing your food. All they did was promote it to you because America's the greediest country. Same thing they did yesterday. Not too many came out because they voted early. What they did yesterday, this donut shop giving out free food, just come and vote, giving out because they know. Just like it was said, how many decades ago, dollarism has a tendency of capturing the eyesight of our people. That's what Malcolm X said, and by any means necessary.
it's the truth.
Everything under the sun is old. You understand where I'm coming from? We can, I'm telling you, we need to do these because it's so much that people don't understand. You're promoting to pull down these statues. Pull them down, there's a rapist. That $10 bill in your pocket, he raped his slaves and had children by them.
They won't rip that
You
up.
won't burn that, though.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. Come on. So we should understand the difference between propaganda when they're paying these people to come out and protest, because you know when you protest, how do they know? When they used to shut the penitentiary down when we did that, they never knew because we only told the prisoners. So the next day they was shocked when nobody showed up to the mess hall. Now the warden want to talk. What's the problem?
Right.
So how you on the news saying they're planning to protest tomorrow? Really? So that means you paid these people to come out there, stir up something.
Of course.
Let's get this going on so we can have some rowdiness, hope that the hoodlums come so we can say, this is why we told y'all.
Exactly.
Bait and switch.
Exactly.
And if you're not wise enough in 2020 to see that, come on. What are you doing? That's why I be trying to explain to people. See, understand, know, look, listen, observe, also respect. That's knowledge. You have to do this every day. Know, look, listen, observe, and respect. You understand what I'm saying? Even if it's something they doing that's devilishment, you respect it because now you know what they're about. Because you know how to challenge that. You understand where I'm coming from?
Right.
Everything is not about violence. You kill people with intellect. And you do that by powers that be. We have that now. How many young brothers and sisters we got that done been to school, done went to school, got these MBAs and all that? I seen a girl the other day in Starbucks with an MBA. How she's working in there. Come on.
Word.
This is what I mean by that. You understand what I'm saying? So if they putting a stoppage to that, then we have to build that. We have to build that. We have to say, what's the problem? What's going on? You understand where I'm coming from? Then we have to step in. But once again, when you acquire a certain amount of finances, now they want to allow you into their entity. So now you're getting told what to do, what to say, how to live, how to walk, how to look. If you speak about coming back to the neighborhood to take care of them, what happens? You get cast out.
Right.
Now you get talked about. Now they dig up your dirt. This is where he was because you wanted to come back to your family.
Right.
So you have to do it. Everything is not for everybody. My mother always said that. If I told you everything about me, you know about me, not know about myself, right? Do that sound right? No, right? Common logic. This is what happened. Common logic have left. Reading has become obsolete within the black community. You have to continue to read to learn. Don't put a stoppage on education.
Well,
Never do that.
I mean, that's difficult now because of, social media. I mean,
No, actually it's not. It's difficult
You don't think
because
so?
no, it's difficult because the people pushed out exploitation. So they rather turn everything into a joke. Black folk like to laugh about everything. That's showing you that they hurting and confused. So they're diverted by joking. Because deep inside, they don't want to have to think once again. So social media, once again, is a beautiful outlet when you know. Don't gravitate towards something that serves no purpose. If it serves no significant purpose, why gravitate towards it?
well, I think that's the piece that needs to be taught to the children.
Yeah, the children need to understand that if it doesn't serve a significant purpose, everything is not about laughing. See, why you laughing because her and her fighting or him and him fighting, they doing other things.
Right.
You see what they do? What they post videos of. The guy posted a video, the white guy, his daughter, she in the woods, bang, 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 to the tree. The other guy posted a video of his daughter in the shooting range. You see what I'm saying? They doing things that we should be doing. Once again, I'm not promoting, but I'm just saying we need to do these things. These are the things we have to do with our babies. You have to promote to the babies and guide them in a proper fashion. So when they do come out the house and feel like they on their own, they're 18 now, they know how to operate. You have to do this. Don't sit there and you talk about it only when you're amongst your peers, but don't speak about it amongst the children. Because what kills me about us is when we say they're a child, they don't know no better. No, they know more than you. Duh.
Right.
Because today you got a phone saying, "Don't I can text." You feel what I'm saying? This is why people went to that on social media. They went to the jokes and the games because, once again, They didn't want to think to know, I can do this here. Wow, oh, no, what?
Right.
Master. Whatever you come amongst or whatever's pushed at us, study it, master it, take over it. We have a multitude that have done that. They'll keep them shunned.
Right.
They don't want us to know that the numbers is up here on the ones that we have that's smart. That's our babies.
Right.
Because once we know that, so we have to do that. How you do that is that's how you pick. You see, we look, scouts, same thing they do. We have to buy land and property. You understand where I'm coming from? This is the only way that servitude will be dealt with. You have to start owning. Deal with ownership. You got people that own 20, 30, 40, 50, hundreds of acres, one person. That makes no sense. So what are you doing? Don't get this home because you think you're able to pay for it. You're going to buy it and then pay it off. You only got the deed from the bank. They didn't give you the land papers. So now 5 years later, we need the excavator under your house. You come outside, I own this house.
Right.
This nigga you never seen, shoot my language, he going to come out with your land papers.
Right.
You don't own this land. Get out in 5 minutes or we going to bulldoze. So it's things we have to learn that we can't put a blind eye to because it's going to hurt us.
Right.
Every day you worry, you're putting yourself 2 steps in the grave. When you wonder, you keep the wheels going. Because you say, okay, what is he? All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm a counter. But on a note where it's being dealt with, where they're going to see it, certain things you present, they'll be fearful of it. So you have to, it's a mind thing, man. It's all about the mental, man.
So what do you wonder about with Biden now?
Their time is up. I don't wonder about none of them. Okay, their time is up. Bottom line, their time is up. They feel like they don't want to be told what to do by us, and we're not in that position. We're not doing that. We just want you to understand that you're not going to continue to do what you do. You understand where I'm coming from? Their longevity of living is not like ours. So this is why they're crunching. They're the ones that's more fearful than we are. How they got us fearful is by dictatorship. They keep dictating it to you. You understand where I'm coming from? So right now with them two, I don't worry. I worry about what we're going to do. Everybody got out there and they voted for Biden. How come you don't get out there and stand behind this powerful brother, this powerful sister that you've actually sat down in a town hall meeting and actually heard their ideas? This is what you need to do. Go behind not the one that's just fronting, the one that's real. So now you have to decipher that. This is what you got to do. Come together. The same way millions of y'all came together to vote, millions of y'all should come together and say we supporting the black farmers because we want great vegetation. We want this to be delivered in our neighborhoods. We want to start opening up farmers markets. This is what we need to do. Don't walk past. We got 400 vegan restaurants. We got hundreds of vegan restaurants black owned. You'll walk by that and go to Chuck E. Cheese. So when the ops see that, what they say, they don't care. So now next you know, 2 years he's shut down because they do it every quarter. And they see that they're not getting as much as Wendy's got. This is where the problem is at.
Right.
Break that cycle. They don't want to break that cycle. If you break that cycle and rebuild yourself, you will see where I'm coming from. Don't be steadfast. You know, like right now, not to get off the topic, we're in the month of November. I heard one of the co-workers say that today. Oh, I can't. You hear that stomach think this Thanksgiving coming up. So I'm sitting there logging in the trains. I said, so wow, you still loving the slave meals. You don't know that that was the slops off the table. You see, so it's a cycle. You have to break that. You have to. You can't go into generations and decades with the same thing. You understand that the past say about the present, which prepare you for the future. What part of the past?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So this prepares you. Don't say, forget about the past. No, you have to have standards. That's how I was taught, how I learned from my parents. I've been doing my own laundry 30-something years. I cook every day. I don't eat out. So you have to learn these things. I stay clean. This is what you have to do. People lost this. I'm only going to give you 6 out of the 12 Jews. Freedom, justice, equality. That's 3. I'm not going to talk about those. Food, clothing, and shelter, love, peace, and happiness. Those 6 is gone. Because if you deal with them 6 right there, you wouldn't have no issues. These are basics. Stop going outside of that. You going outside chasing a fantasy life that wasn't designed for you. So it's putting you in a rut. Always putting you in a rut. Because you feel like basic is no good for you. But it was good for you when you was a baby.
Right.
Right. Your mom ain't run out there and tell you, I gotta get. No. There was structure. So this is what we need to bring about. The love, peace, and happiness, the food, clothing, and shelter is basic. Because food don't only means literally food. Food is knowledge. And this is what people need to start indulging and eating knowledge, eating this wisdom, eating this information, taking it in. More you take it in, the more you start to think, the more you start to read and see and understand, and you'll know better. You'll understand their language when they speaking on that podium, because they speaking the language that they only know. Right. Same thing, you go to the court. The lawyer speaking, you don't know what he's saying. You go to the doctor, he talking to his court, you don't know. So you have to start learning this. You have to, because we're hurting. They're not hurting. Like they said, the police defund, they ain't defund them. Police said, I'm going to take my 4-week vacation. Because I know my son, that he's over there with Johnny. Right. He ain't in that line of fire. Right. So they didn't go nowhere. They 39. They don't want to lose their life. Right. Because you standing there, 4 people got shot in your block. You behind your door. You didn't come outside. Y'all didn't say, listen, man, you're not coming in my block with this, man. We got babies in here. You should know how many adolescents is in your building. If you live in a building, you live in a complex, you should know that. Right. You should know and understand. Listen, y'all going, so you have to speak up more. Like I said, people are not speaking up. They're utilizing social media to speak up, and that's not good enough. It's good, but it's not good enough. You have to be in the street, because while you speaking on that, typing for 2 hours, they outside reckless. Right. Because their parents might got a 16-hour shift, gave them the key.
Tons of issues and topics that we could do numerous shows on.
Yes, sir.
But I just wanted to do this, this episode and discuss some of the current topics that are out there right now. A lot of stuff that are impacting our communities. I think you dropped a lot of jewels out there for people to pay attention to.
And please, not to cut you off, don't put comments and say he had it on his neck. Why he ain't have no mask? Y'all ain't social distancing long enough. We're clean in here. I deal with germicidal wipes. We all right in here.
We took care of all that before
we did all that prior to sitting down. We do all that. So just for y'all, because everybody's scared today. Right. Why you talking that? This is what's hurting people. You worrying about what he said and not what needs to be done. Don't repeat what he said. Right. He repeated it enough for you to start repeating for him. Right. So he's sitting down drinking fine whiskey. Right. Saying, look at the puppets. I prepped them good enough.
That's true indeed. True indeed. We could sit here and go on
for days,
all night for
because
days.
I love to teach and I love to build on topics that serve significant purpose. I hope y'all listening. I love my babies. I love the youth. You just have to change, and change is within you, because that's not of you what you're doing, because you didn't see this growing up with your family. So don't gravitate towards negativity outside in the street. I don't care who he is or what he say or how he show you. If he's not showing you the right way, then what purpose is he serving? This is what you must say to yourself.
Right, definitely. Again, more jewels being dropped by this man right here. Let folks know where they can follow you on Instagram so they can see.
King Be True 372. That's Born True. You can always hit me up, because Facebook just jailed me today because I put up something truthful. So this is the thing we're dealing with right now. They don't want that. They don't want you to manifest the truth, because they're fraudulent. So anytime you have a fraudulent entity, that's why they started the new thing they started on social media. Right. They combine it together because they're trying to pinpoint who's with who. People don't see that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and these are the type of topics I'm going to touch on with future episodes of the conversation. Again, shouts to my man Born True for coming through and sitting down and talking. My man Born for coming through, sitting down and talking. These are relevant topics that I think need to be spoken about.
We need the mothers to step up and take care of the daughters and teach the daughters the proper way. Bring back the naturality of how you live. Show your daughters the way. Even if they happen to reproduce at a younger age, you have to step in and show them. If they didn't take what you showed them growing up, you have to play that major role. Don't just look at it as, I'm a grandma. No, teach her. So when she do become on her own, if she's still living with you, she don't become confused. Right. She's not coming back to you. You have to prep.
Yeah.
Both mothers, men and women. We have a duty that needs to be done ASAP. We need that, because if we don't, then the destruction of the black civilization will be heavy.
You heard it first here on the conversation. Again, shouts to my man Born True for coming through.
You know how we do.
Shouts to S.STREET Media again for giving me the platform to bring the show of the Conversation podcast to you all. Shouts to my man Mathematics. As I said, every Thursday, 8 p.m., be shooting a live episode. I will be placing the archives up on the YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. And thank you all for tuning in for tonight. I appreciate you. Definitely follow me again. I'm on Instagram, Legacy Star with 2 R's. And you can catch me on Facebook under my government, Roger Franco. So again, thank you all for tuning in tonight, and stay tuned for more to come. Thank you.
Peace. Love y'all.